It's a gamble every day, that's just how we live. That's just how we live. That's just how we live. Some things out of control. It is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. It's a gamble every day, that's just how we live. That's just how we live. That's just how we live. Some things out of control. It is what it is. It is what it is.
What's up? Welcome to another edition of the Major Music Lounge podcast. It's your host, D Dot, and today we're actually going to have a artist, producer, songwriter by the name of Lil Eddie on. Lil Eddie is actually going to be a 12-time Grammy nominated producer, and he did some work actually with America's Got Talent. So we're going to talk about that and more, his journey creating music. You know how we do it here on the Major Music Lounge podcast. We like to talk to other music creators about their journey creating music, kind of like we're going to talk about today with Lil Eddie. And if you're an artist or if you're a producer, music creators generally speaking, we've also had on music managers, as I kind of talked about earlier, music production app developers, sound designers, and producers that have experience getting tracks placed in film and television. And if you fall under any of the above, you could actually reach out to me on any one of my platforms, and that's going to be D. Major Music on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. And if you're on X or Twitter, you could actually follow me at D.mme. Now, let's go ahead and get into the interview. We're back with the Major Music Lounge podcast, and we're joined by Lil Eddie. Got a chance to, check out Lil Eddie, and he's actually a songwriter, producer, artist, and very well decorated. Got a chance to, I checked out actually your Wikipedia, and that was kind of cool in itself right there. But, first and foremost, brother, how you doing today?
Man, I'm blessed. And once again, man, thank you for the opportunity to speak and, you know, just anyone sharing their platform with me to, speak as an artist or share some light or, just get to know more people is always a blessing. So I'm grateful, man. I'm blessed. Headed to the studio, like I said, I got some time. I got time though. No worries. What's going on?
Oh man, not much, man. I know how it is, man. Doing the podcast, I'm an artist and producer myself. Outside of that, just I make a lot of content, so I'm always kind of working at, to some degree. So, I know how it is to always be moving and making moves, generally speaking, man. So, I got a chance to listen to your latest album. And what stood out to me, I had like Steal a Kiss like the first time. The album's actually also titled Emotional. Tell us a little bit about what was your concept behind creating this album.
Absolutely. So Emotional was my third album released in Japan. And yeah, I guess I just was like, I was just so grateful that I finally seen my music kind of finding a finding itself around the world in a market that was accepting me. And um, I've been doing music for quite some time, and uh, the album is new to the whole world. But it was actually I created this album a while ago, and it was my third album in Japan. And I wasn't really focused on like digital. I kind of missed the digital wave. I was a tangible artist where I was selling physical CDs, and um, I just thought now that I have like a lot of attraction on some of my music and I did a new deal, it was only right to make sure the world gets, a hold of the music that built me to this point. And yeah, Emotional was the best concept and idea I could actually, you know, that can wrap around like and summarize how I was feeling at the time. And I still feel that way today. I feel very grateful and blessed to be doing music and um, to create, even if it's just one person that says, "Man, your song touched me or saved my life or made me feel any kind of way." That's just it's bigger than me, man. I'm just a vessel.
Yeah, yeah, man. It has that modern R&B sound, but I still get kind of like that old school vibe of R&B. That's kind of what I like
Man,
about this album.
thanks so much, man.
Man, no problem, man. So, kind of going back, to your beginnings of creating music, like how long have you been creating music, and what was kind of that moment you were like, I want to become an artist, I want to become a songwriter, a producer?
Well, I mean, I feel like as long as I can remember, I've always been creating music. I started singing in choirs at a young age. And I think I probably was about 13 and I was singing in North Carolina and it was Easter Sunday and I was singing and then all these people got up and jumped in the spirit and Christian Black church, when you're in the spirit,
Yeah.
people are just jumping around and speaking in tongues and stuff. And it was all foreign to me. And I was being told, keep singing. And I seen how that affected people's lives. And I think at that moment, I knew that that was my calling. Um, I knew that that was going to be my calling for the rest of my life. And yeah, and then from then on, I felt like when I was in New York City trying to get people to listen to me and not see me as just a Latino kid that wanted to sing R&B. So I felt like I had to find my way into the studio behind the mic, which was telling people I know how to write songs when I really didn't know what I was doing. I was just being honest and vulnerable, and I was saying like, "Hey man, I could write songs, and producers would give me opportunities to write." And they were like selling my songs. They were like, "Oh, this person they want to record your song, and this person sing your song." I was like, "Okay, cool. Like I'm young. I can write a million more songs, And I think throughout that process, I kind of figured out a bit of a science and math and a formula to songwriting, and learned a lot along the way. And I realized that writing was always a part of what I wanted to do because I was always writing it as a kid in school. I used to write these imaginative stories that would make like the school newspaper, but I didn't know I would incorporate it and fuse it into songwriting, into music. And yeah, it's been, I guess, the most identifiable piece of me as an artist is people. Sometimes people know my name not from my songs, but from songs I wrote on other artists or produced on other artists. And um, yeah, as I learned that this is what I want to do, I studied a lot of the greats, not just the vocalists, but the songwriters. Like the Diane Warrens and the Stevie Wonders, and yeah, and now it's just like it's second nature.
Yeah, yeah. Um, who are some of those artists? Was it any notable artists that we can recall, or that we know you wrote for?
Absolutely, man. I wrote songs for man Charlie Wilson, Elder Barge, Prince Royce, Maluma, Nicky Jam, Daddy Yankee, JoJo, Jesse J, Rita Ora, Janet Jackson, Pink, Nelly Furtado.
Whoa.
It's so many big time. Cody Simpson,
Yeah, yeah,
Layla Hathaway, Carl
yeah,
Thomas, J Lo. Out of a lot of great artists I've written for, and like I said, man, it's so much bigger than me. I'm just a vessel, and I didn't, I never knew that I would be writing songs for some of my favorites or some of like the world's favorite artists, and I'm just happy that I could use my creativity into song and give it back to the world.
yeah, yeah. Now, first and foremost, congrats on all of that, man. And, secondly, like, I guess, and I know everybody's probably different, but like, taking us or giving us some perspective rather of working with some of these artists, what, would you say a session, most of the time is like sitting with some of these artists, talking to them, getting some thoughts about some of the concepts that they have?
I mean, it varies. Um, if I'm writing a song from scratch for an artist, I kind of have to be like a nosy therapist and kind of have to figure out who you are in your life, what you feel like you haven't said on your upcoming project, what like what's missing. And I really like to. I feel like you have to wait for that moment where the artist says something that just kind of like a light bulb goes off. You like, you know what? That's what we're gonna write about. We're gonna because I like to really tell people's testimonies because as a songwriter, I'm just your Uber driver. You know, as a songwriter producer, I'm your Uber driver. I'm trying to get you where you want to go, and I just need to figure out where you are in your life, and I want to give people that real story because the audience deserves the story of where the artist is in their life, and then they can include themselves in that, and they can find their own, you know, healing and therapy through other people's testimony and feel like, you know what, I'm not alone because this person also dealt with the same heartbreak or same kind of love or, you know, maybe mental health issues, whatever. People want to feel like they can relate to the artist. And the only way people connect, I think, is when the artist is telling a story that's really about them, not about me as the writer, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And I would also imagine kind of like with everything that you just said, even something like the producer and the instrumentation also is a factor in, you know, the way that you write.
Absolutely. I mean, like, you know, like I'm writing this song now. The guitar was so beautiful that I was like, we should call this Guitar Cry, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just like anything could influence so much. And I always try to find a balance of saying a testimony, but still keeping it relatable, um, and still being vulnerable and honest, and trying to make a way for it to still be catchy because, you know, you want people to remember and you want the subconscious to remember. And sometimes if you being too wordy, that could be selfish. You can be writing, you know, for yourself or trying to be too prolific or sound too intelligent versus like giving something that's simple to digest. Like even at times you can't be cliche enough. Like I will you could try to replace love with, you know, I heart you or ditto or all these things, but the psyche, the mental, the heart will never resonate with these, you know, with these concepts of these brand new ways to say something versus just saying I will always love. You know, that is the most that your body resonates different to I love you, you know, and that's why some of the greatest songs and the biggest songs in the world and still now are always about love and about either I love you, I want to be in love, or this heartbreak, or I wish I didn't love you, or why can't I stop loving you, you know? So yes, there's definitely a science, like I said from the beginning, a science and a math to this, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine, man. Like you said, everybody be different, and just the perspective and concepts and adding your own twist to everybody's story, you know, that's gonna be unique to everybody. Now, going back to your album, I noticed also you had a collaboration with T-Boz. How did that
Yeah.
collaboration come about?
Well, you know, my first album, my like the first album in Japan, um, Maya featured on that album, and second album, I had a Marie feature on it, and um, the one thing I loved about the label that I was working with in Japan was, and just the country, was appreciation for legends and R&B music. Um, and it came around to what I really like to elaborate on this album. I was like, TLC is undeniably one of the most inspirational, uh, not groups around the world, but one of the most inspirational groups and artists, you know, to my career. I remember growing up listening to them and from the originality of T-Boz's voice to Chili's voice to what Left Eye did. It was an unbelievable trio and the songwriting, Dallas Austin, like Babyface Dallas Austin, like they really put their foot in some of those, you know, some of those songs are just they were perfection. So I remember how much it was like one of the first CDs I ever listened to. And when I had the opportunity to say, hey, you know, it would be really cool for me to do something with T-Boz, the label really liked that idea and we made the connection and we met in the studio and cut the song and T-Boz and I both, you know, we related to having illnesses. I'm a diabetic and, you know, she struggles with sickle cell and um how music just saves our lives, and that's why the song is called Miracles as well. You know, little miracles happen every day, and just trying to I wanted to give people a message that was inspirational. You know, that's one thing that TLC always did with Waterfalls and Unpretty. It was a conscious, inspirational record, and that's what Miracles is. You know, every time one door closes, another one opens. Um, and every time it rained like hell, somehow I swam, and every single no turned into a yes. Like I believe in miracles. Miracles happen every day. You know.
Yeah, man. I mean, she is a legend in this game, and they had such a very unique sound. They were a perfect trio. Like they each had their own vibe. And I don't think we've seen another group since back then like that. And it may be, if ever, we see any group come close to that. We don't really see groups that much anymore to begin with. But, you know, um, going also into some of the other content, notice you did some work with America's Got Talent.
So so I worked with Simon Cowell for about 10, 11 years. I helped form and develop the group Fifth Harmony from day one. Uh, then, and that was on X Factor in the USA. I was a vocal coach there and A&R. And then it went into, working with a show. We did a second season. Then after that, we did a show called La Banda on Univision, and I helped form and create the group CNCO, which is like now one of the biggest male Latin groups since Menudo. And then I moved to London and worked on X Factor in the UK, and I had this group called Raksu that came to the show. We did an original song that went number one. And then Simon offered me the senior A&R job at Psycho Sony Music, and I lived some time, and then I was a judge on X Factor there. And in between, I was working on all of like the Psycho Sony Music, Simon Cowell shows, from Britain's Got Talent to America's Got Talent, and all the X Factors. And that it was a dream come true for me because like I grew up watching Simon Cowell on TV,
Yeah.
discovering artists and talent, and watching them bloom and grow. And I think somewhere deep down inside me, being a project boy in New York City, watching TV, I used to be like, man, I always had a heart to not only be discovered and do music, but I was also fascinated and loved the idea of, finding the diamond in the rough, finding someone else that had talent and maybe didn't have the resources, or was a dreamer and wanted to just make something out of nothing, and being like, hey man, one day I would love to be that guy to do that for someone else, And miracles happen every day, dreams come true. And I think I learned so much about myself working on these shows and working with kids from all over the world, and realize that everyone just has a story, and there's so many talented people in the world, and we're just all vessels. And um, you know, and I believe there's no such thing as scarcity. Everyone will have their day in the sun, So I learned a lot about different genres of music, and how can I take a great hit song and cut it down to a 1 minute 20 seconds performance, or a minute performance, and make the whole world feel that, and how to recreate music and take an up-tempo song and turn it to a ballad, take a ballad and make it an up-tempo, and just really, really got to experiment on, my creative mind, and how to make things greater or the best of my ability, and learned so much. It was just such a educational experience for me, as well as a very spiritual experience.
Man, yeah, I'm definitely, think that's pretty cool to have worked with Simon Cowell first and foremost, just seeing his journey, and he's still doing it, man. And that's kind of cool to see in itself. I remember just early 2000s, and man, what's that, before American Idol, before America's Got Talent, but just seeing him on there, and I thought that show in itself, for that point in time in American music culture was really good when it happened. And it's kind of good to see that Simon Cowell still going as well as yourself, man. And I know you're headed to the studio. Like, with that kind of being said, what else do you have on deck for the remainder of 2024?
Man, so many incredible things. I just wrote with JoJo, the great JoJo, her first single, Porcelain. It came out on October 2nd, this week, Wednesday, it came out, I believe. And I have a lot of Aston Marigold from JLF, the UK, single you chose was on the 11th. On the 18th, I have my biggest song, Statue. I did a acoustic version of that. I did one in Tagalog with Filipino great artist JR, one in Tagalog, and then I did one in Spanglish with the great Frankie J, and then I did one, in English, an acoustic version with Aston Marigold from the UK, and that Statue Duets project is coming out on the 18th. I have records dropping all the way to the end of the year. I have a great Christmas record called Coqui coming out, which is the animal of Puerto Rico. The coqui is a little frog, but also coquito is the drink. So it can be perceived how you like, but that would be a Christmas release. And right before that, I have a new original song, 2024, called Pretty Tears, and an amazing video releasing with that. So I'm super excited. I have so much to come. An album to look forward to, a new Lil Eddie album, 2025. This is like, I haven't released the album since Emotional and the Greatest Hits, which has been years ago, even though it's new to the world. But this is like the new Lil Eddie, the new sound that I've been working on. I'm really excited about that. And then I'm working on my own production company, Broken Hearts Club, with my artist W. He's Mexican, doing a lot of incredible, great music. I feel like Mexico's doing incredible right now in the market for Spanish music, and I'm just happy to be a part of that with a great artist. So, yeah, a lot to look forward to, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna be looking forward to it as well, and can't wait to see what comes next with you and everything that you're doing. Where can our listeners find you at online as far as like socials?
Lil Eddie, LILEDDIE. You can put that in Instagram. You can put that in Twitter, X. You can put that in Facebook. If you put it on TikTok, I think it'll come up as well, Lil Eddie. And yeah, man, I'm just anyone who's not familiar. Hope you guys can support and hope you can find something that you enjoy, and just keep it locked with me. I promise I got some good stuff for you guys, and everyone who's been supporting, I'm very grateful and thankful. And once again, my friend, thank you for allowing me to speak on your platform. I appreciate it. It means a lot. God bless you, bro.
Oh, no problem, man. God bless you, man. And one of the things I always like to also ask all the creators that come on, artists, producers, whoever, one word of advice for a up and coming music creator, something that you learned along the way, what would that be?
I would say don't be afraid to fail. Failure is a part of success. So the quicker you fail, the quicker you're on your way to success.
Yeah, man, that is true. That is true. Learning by trial and error is only gonna make you better. Only gonna make you better. You can follow me
Always,
on
always remain a student and always put God first. That's just my own philosophy.
definitely, definitely.
Sorry.
Oh, no, no problem. Yeah, always remain a student. Always, learn new stuff about your craft, and definitely, putting God first. Because without God, all things, or with God rather, all things are possible. And you can follow me on Instagram at d._major music. Same thing on TikTok as well as Threads, and then on Twitter, X is going to be d.mme. And if you hung around this long for the interview, please go ahead, hit the like button, and hit my man Lil Eddie with a follow. Go check out that album, Emotional, on all streaming platforms. And we do appreciate you, Lil Eddie, spending some time with us today, man. And I'm following you as well, and I'm gonna stay posted in everything that you're doing, man. So best of luck to you. God bless you, man. And yeah, this has been another episode of the Major Music Lounge podcast. It's D Dot and Lil Eddie, and we are out.
Exhale the smoke out the window as I ride. take my L's like a champ if I know I tried. When I slide, my mind ventures to another place. Don't copy me out, cards in hand, I'm gonna play the ace. Not the face, pro wrestling, I'm gonna be the heel. Turn up when I need to, but I mostly chill. Fuck the skill, if you have that without the hustle. Don't drop music, but these rappers think they Simmons Russell. Flex the muscle off my venture, steady talking loud. You quit making music, really show us what you bout. In and out, and I'm not talking restaurants. Attend sport events with the homies, just a stunt. On the hunt like a team competing for the playoffs. Somebody else working while you taking days off. Ways off, don't have the heart to